warriors. It's Saturday. Welcome to day 6 of practice with Mary Beth, honoring National Yoga Awareness Month. It's also Suicide Prevention Month, so it's just a fantastic month for awareness and yoga, and we are celebrating by doing it together. So, um, as we flow today, it's going to be a yen, slow flow, grounded thing. As we flow, know that this is a window into my practice, and so at all costs, honor yourself. If something that I am doing does not feel good, please feel free to do something else that feels good to you and honors your body. All right. So, like I said, we will be doing a yen slow flow, completely grounded, and I'll tell you why. So, for me, during the week, I'm trying to generate momentum. I'm trying to generate heat. And so on Saturdays, I like to take it slow. And then on Sundays, even a little slower. So we'll be grounded slow flow today. If you're going to meet with me tomorrow, it'll be a breathing practice. So kind of winding down. And then Monday, back to those starting standing flows, which are kind of my favorite anyway. So, all right, we're going to meet on the mat. Note, for yen slow flows, each pose is held 2 to 5 minutes. So as I work us into a pose or mold our body in a certain way, we're going to hang out there for a minute. So make sure you're comfortable. If you have them available, I would suggest pillows, blankets, any kind of thing that if you have a little creak, you can support your body. I am traveling for work, so I only have the kind of hotel ones. You know, I'm just not using them. So I may not go as deep, or I may find alternate ways to get into those poses. All right. So first, we're gonna meet in child's pose, extended child's pose. Hands on the mat, fingers spread wide. You can kind of start off in a tabletop position, but then your knees are going to come just a little bit wider than hip distance. So think about a cradle for your rib cage. You want your thighs to hold your rib cage. Your feet come together. You're going to send the sit bones back. And you're going to have this nice little play of push and pull in your body. Your head comes to the mat and breathe. As we're in child's pose, it's a great time to set an intention for this practice. What do you want to get out of it? Just play around with micro movements here, gently extending the hands out while pushing the sit bones the feet, never losing the breath. Still here in extended child's pose. And release and come up into a tabletop position. Fingers wide. Most of our weight in the fingers and not the wrist. Shoulders stacked over wrist. Knees under hips. Feet flat on the ground. Neutral spine. So make it straight just to start off. Moving into a little cat-cow. So dropping the spine, the belly towards the mat, lifting the chest and gaze, not sinking in the shoulders, so still active in those shoulders as we inhale. And then exhale, cat. Good morning, Mary Beth. Dropping the gaze. Gaze should work towards the belly button, arching the spine towards the ceiling. Almost like a Halloween cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Continue at your own flow, your own pace. Matching your intention that you set. Feel free to take a moment and find some organic movement in your cat cow. Maybe you scrape the sides of the barrel with your rib cage. Maybe you turn and look at your hips. Find what feels good to you. Come back to neutral. With those hands planted, tuck the toes. Lift the hips up and back. Downward dog. Hands are spread wide. Weight in the fingers, not the wrists. Knees are bent and heels are off the mat until you get those hip bones facing towards the sky. And then you can play around with dropping the heels and straightening the legs. And feel free to play here, right? It's Saturday morning. Why not? Walk out your dog. Flex those feet back and forth. Get curious. Right? What little micro movements can you do to completely change the sensations you are experiencing in your body? Still in downward dog. We're going to shift our weight a little bit into the left foot. Pick up that right foot. Toes to sky. Drop those toes over to the left and take a look at them underneath. Gaze comes back neutral. And fine. Do some circles with the knees, find some hip rotations. Just waking those hips up. We're going to get deep into them in a little bit. And foot down. Shifting the weight into the right foot. Lift those left toes to the sky. Drop them to the right. Take a look at them. Gaze comes back neutral. And knee circles. And release. Back into downward dog. Walk the feet towards the hands. I'm absolutely being swallowed by my shirt today. Still forward folded. Feet are grounding into the mat. A little bit wider than hip distance apart. Toes are wide. Really bend those knees until you have ribcage thigh contact. It's about that point you should be able to find the hands on the mat. Maybe, maybe not. You never know. And then you can play around with straightening the legs, but never lose that thigh ribcage contact. From here, we can play around with lifting our hands off the mat, interlocking them, and hanging. If you need a little more support, you can always find a block or a table to support you. And breathe. And release. Bring. If you're not towards the top of your mat, work your way towards the top of the mat. Really bend those knees. Bring the hands to the mat. Lifting the right foot and taking it back into a lunge. So we're in a lunge. Hands are on the mat. Work that foot, that left foot out just a little. And then drop that right knee. Elbows come to the inside of that left knee. For lizard pose. Lizard starts here with our hands on the mat. And then, if it's within your practice, within your feel good zone, you can drop your elbows to a block or to the mat or whatever feels good for you. Since I don't have those things, I'm just going to keep my hands on the mat and breathe. Let that knee fall out a little bit if you like. But again, no pose is worth the breath. If you get so deep you start to lose the breath, it's time to back out. Gently release by sending those sit bones a little towards the back. Your left foot is going to come onto its heel, but before it comes onto its heel, work it back into alignment with your hips. And gently, once you're there, gently send those sit bones towards your heels as deep as feels good for you. So left leg is straight, right leg is bent. Hands are on mats or blocks or whatever supports you. And breathe. And release. And work your way, however feels good for you, back into a downward dog. And bring that right foot to the right thumb for lunge. Heel toe that right foot out just a little. Left knee comes down. Release the toes so you're on the top of the foot. And just wiggle back to your lizard here. Hands on mat or blocks or pillows, whatever supports. Your knee can fall out a little if that feels good. Get curious. Find what your body needs. And release. Send the hips back just a little. Heel toe to find hip alignment. Continuing to send those hips back, coming onto the right heel. Right leg is straight or straight as feels good. Straight is relative to the person experiencing it. And release. And work your way into a seated position. Maybe have a sip of coffee along the way. Legs come out in front of you. Starting with the right leg, bend it in so that the bottom of the foot comes to the inner thigh. Left leg is straight in front of us. We're slightly bent. A good way to work your way into a straight leg, if that's not something you find easily, is to start with a bent leg. In the seated position, stack your spine. You can lift the fingertips to the sky and fold till you find rib cage thigh contact. And then you can play around with scooting that heel out as long as you can maintain contact with the rib cage to the thigh. When you lose that contact, that's when you've probably gone too far. And back it out until you can maintain that contact. So, whatever that is for you, we have our right leg bent. Our left leg is whatever straight means to you. And we are folded over that straight leg. And breathe. And release and switch legs. Right leg goes straight. Left leg bends. Bottom of the foot inside of the thigh. Spine is straight or stacked. Inhale, fingertips to sky. And fold over that right leg. And release. Come to a sitting position. Send both legs out wide, sitting stacked in the center of the pie shape we've made with our legs. Knees and toes are facing the ceiling. Have a deep inhale. And as we exhale, hands will walk our body out in between our split legs. Go as deep as feels good for you. If you do have blocks, pillows, blankets, boulders, it's not the right word. You can rest in this position on them. I don't have that, so I'm just going to use my hands for support and get curious. And with each exhale, a little micro movement forward. Continue to breathe, checking that our toes and knees are still facing the ceiling. Release. Bring the bottoms of the feet together as close to your hips as feels good. Stack the spine. And fold over those feet as much as feels good to you. We're in butterfly. And release. Into a seated position. So before we go in the next position, I just want to say, again, this is practice with Mary Beth. This is my flow. This pose can get really spicy really quick. So go slow, honor your body. I'm going to work my way over into a tabletop position. I'm going to work my knees out, but my feet stay in alignment with my knees. So think our mountain pose where everything's stacked. Knees are stacked over the ankles in this position, even while you're working your knees out. So frog pose, if you're familiar. You can find blankets or pillows or really kind of prop yourself up in this position, or you can bring your arms down to the mat. So even though this is frog pose and you're working your knees out, the, the active movement is to gently try to pull the knees together. So you are active in this pose, even though it's a slower, non-moving pose. Breathe. No pose is worth the breath. If you lose the breath, back out. You can get curious in frog by moving the hips and forward and back, exploring what that means for you. Try to keep the spine in a neutral position. And release by coming out however feels good to you. Working your way back into that tabletop position. Taking a breath here. When you exhale, bring that left knee to left hand and send that right leg out behind you for pigeon. The left leg, the calf portion of it, the shin, all this, it can be at a right angle or it can be bent underneath you. The key here is to just find what works for your body because everyone's connected a little differently, built a little differently, and so find what feels good. And starting your hands on the mat, arms a little straight, gaze forward. You can play around with releasing yourself to blankets, pillows, blocks, bolsters. Woo. Trying to remember that word from earlier, y'all. You can work all the way down to the mat or your blanket or whatever supports you and breathe. And release into tabletop. And bring that right knee to right thumb. Send the left leg out behind you. And same thing. Find what works for your body and work your way into it. And breathe. And release into tabletop. Take one big deep breath. And gently walk those hands out until you come to your belly. Your forearms are on the mat, your palms are on the mat, your elbows are tucked underneath your shoulders. Your chest and gaze are forward for Sphinx. Find the breath, active shoulders pushing out. I say that because I caught myself collapsing. And release and roll onto your back. Bring the knees into the chest. Give them a quick hug. Hands find the edges of the feet. You can use a strap here if your hands don't do that for happy baby. Explore your own happy baby here. You can straighten, you can widen, you can do whatever feels good for you. But get curious, get playful. Finding stillness, bring the knees back together. Bent like you're going to hug them, but instead the arms come out to a T. And dropping the knees to the left, gaze to the right for a spinal twist. Inhale, knees back center, and drop the knees to the right, gaze to the left. And release back to center. Send the legs out long. Arms come next to the body, palms up for resting pose. Let the feet flop out. And try to the best of your ability to just release. Release everything to the floor. Allow the floor and the mat to support you. Start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Stretch the arms overhead, the legs out long for the great stretch. And gently work your way onto your right side. Work your way up to a seated position. Find the breath. Bring your attention to the breath. Hands together in front of the heart center. Thank you for practicing with me, and I hope you have a wonderful Saturday, Humble Warriors. See you tomorrow.